Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on a kick-ass Wednesday inauguration day. I really appreciate you being here. I am really blessed to be with somebody today that means a lot to me. But before we get started, let me tell you who else means a lot to me. 5-Star Guitars. Not just because they sponsored the show, but they've done something that no other small music store has. They've been in the top 100 nationwide businesses for music sales, repairs, and lessons. So give it up to 5-Star Guitars. They've been recognized throughout the United States for being in the top 100, I think for the 5th year running now. So they're based in Beaverton, Oregon. If you are a guitarist or interested in playing guitar, go to 5starguitars.com/allaccesslive and use the promo code ALLACCESS15 when you check out. When you go to the link below, you're going to see about 5 or 6 pages of great deals, and you can also get lessons and repairs. Since there's no sales tax here in Oregon, you're going to save the 15% on top of the deal that you get from no sales tax. So let them know I sent you. And again, keep watching for 5-Star Guitars. Thank you for the sponsorship, guys. Now, let me tell you, I have somebody today that has changed the music scene in Portland. He's toured throughout the world. He's been sort of known throughout the Northwest as Mike D. And his most memorable band name was I Can Lick Any Son of a Bitch in the House. So we're going to talk about his history. We're going to talk about the current state of the world. And he's going to play some killer music for you. So before we get started, go down there on the subscribe button. I want you to subscribe now. This will be archived, and you'll get notified when the new shows come up. I've got a great show with Christopher Brown next week and a ton of shows in February. So subscribe to the channel. And now, with no further ado, let me bring on my buddy, Mike Damron. How you doing, pal?
Hey, Kevin. How you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. Did you happen to hear the intro that I gave you?
You did. I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to be. I was trying not to kiss your butt too much as we were going. But
you were kind. I'm going to do a lot of butt kissing on this one. You're one of my favorites, man.
Man, we're fortunate to have each other in our lives, man. You know, 'cause,
Truly.
I think the first time that I met you, you were. You had been playing shows with Jerry Joseph and the Jack Mormons, doing your shows, and
I love Jerry.
God, he's great, man. First time I saw him was in Montana, way before I moved to Portland, actually.
Right.
So yeah, way back in right around 1990. And he's killer. So do you stay in touch with him much?
Oh yeah. I just talked to him like maybe a month ago about doing a show. You know, before everything fell apart again. He wanted to try to do a thing at Dante's, you know, like a 50-person cap kind of thing. I mean, and then I see him play on Thursdays. He does a thing online every Thursday, and he's just waiting for this, like we all are, for this garbage to end. And then, you know what I mean, the COVID thing.
I think I figured out what you meant.
Yeah, you know, garbage. But it's a bummer, and we all want to get back to work, you know. I can't wait to get back on the road. I will never take this for granted. I used to bitch about driving for hours and hours and hours, and now I can't wait to do a 10-hour drive to play for 5 people, you know.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
The things that we did take for granted before. I mean, the drive is one thing. Even like schlepping gear, you know, anymore. I'm thinking,
whatever.
Let me carry, you know.
Yeah.
This is cool. Yeah. You can't see the chat that's overlaid yet, but a bunch of people in the chat room. My buddy Claudia from Germany, lovely, beautiful woman.
Hey, Claudia.
And, Mike Klaus is here. Elena Sullivan says, great band name. I'm sure that was to I Can Lick Any Son of a Bitch in the House. Skew Squad thought you shaved your head. So you haven't, have you? It's just hiding underneath your hat.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I shaved it once early on, and now it's growing back, and you know, I'll probably shave it again. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. You know what? You can do whatever you want right now during COVID, man. It's not going to matter, right? So.
Oh yeah, I'm ugly. It ain't gonna matter either way. You know?
You're not, man. I shared those pictures with you with your long hair, though, and some people were reaching out to me saying, "Oh my gosh, look at how handsome that dude is," and they said, "Wait till you see his personality."
Yeah, that was a few years ago, man.
That's all right. Oh, it's Scott. Hey, Scott. Nice to see you, man. I didn't even realize that was you. Again, you know, I see that Lena's here on Facebook, and Claudia as well. So make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. There's also a ton of stuff out there with Michael Damron is, he's got tons of videos from like heavy metal shop down in Salt Lake, and a lot of touring stuff. So when we get done today, guys, go out there and scour for Michael Dean Damron. This guy, he's been everywhere. He's loved by everybody. Let's talk a little bit about where you're from, man. I know you've got some military background. And,
Uh-huh.
have you grown up playing music from early on?
Well, I started when I was about 14. Actually, I started a lot younger than that. I started playing drums when I was maybe in sixth grade. You know, I couldn't afford a trumpet, so the band teacher said, "Well, just go buy a practice pad and some drumsticks,
Yeah.
and you can be in the." So I learned a paradiddle, and then took off from there through high school. Played drums and was in bands and all kinds of that. Dreaming about just being a musician. That's all I've ever cared about.
Yeah.
And there was never no plan B. It was just play.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad bought me my first drum set. I wanted to be Peter Criss.
Oh, yeah.
And Bonham, and I'd sit in my garage and play for hours with the headphones on and Zeppelin 4. And I love drums. But then my garage burned down, and then burnt my drums.
No.
So yeah, and then ended up going in the Army anyway. And from there, I started playing bass and guitar and at the clubs.
While you're in the Army?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Army, and it's like we're Jimi Hendrix. We were stationed at the same place. We were both with the 101st.
Wow.
And then after I got out the Army, I wanted to get back into music, but I wasn't very good. I was just a half-assed kind of bass player, and my first gig, I moved back to Las Vegas, and a friend of mine played bass with Mark Slaughter, the famous Mark Slaughter dude.
Yeah.
And he was from Las Vegas, and so I started on as a drum tech for him.
Really?
So that's kind of where I got my foot in the door. Before he joined Vinnie Vincent and stuff for sure, but it was all local stuff. But
dude can sing, man.
Yeah, it gave me the bug, to start playing rock. And then there was a band next door that they were trying out bass players, and I could, I played half-ass, and I went over and got the gig and just started playing. So that that's
in
kind of
Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Okay, yeah. So how old were you then when you got your first gig?
Well, the first real gig I ever had I was about 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got out. I went in when I was a kid, and I got out when I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And
it's always interesting for me to talk to somebody about the first gig experience, because if you grew up, as an early teenager wanting to be a musician for a living, be a rock star or whatever, and then you get the first gig, it could go either of two ways, right? If one, it may be kind of let down, because the gig might have been smaller and whatever, technical problems, you didn't make as much money or whatever, or it lit the bug and the fire so hard that you knew that you were exactly where you needed to be for the rest of your life. Yeah, so
definitely, man.
Is that what you were feeling?
Well, I knew that before, even like just playing in stage band and my little high school band stuff. But the first gig, like, it was just a chance to get drunk and talk to girls and wear makeup and, pretty glammy back in, the early 80s.
Right.
After that, I thought I'd cast my line out a little bigger. So I moved to Hollywood, like a lot of dudes do. I was like Axel getting off the bus. I had a piece of straw in my mouth, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm looking around trying to, and so I started, finding my way around, and I ended up getting a job at the Whiskey.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, man. I was
that was your first gig?
Lighting designer. I was doing production, stage manager, lighting designer, and then I joined a band that was pretty popular around Hollywood. And
what was that?
It was a band called the Brothers. It was very, very roots rock, very Black Crowes kind of thing.
And this is mid 80s?
This is 80, 88, 89.
Okay, right on.
And I was there about 5 years, and then after the riots, I kind of had enough of it.
Yeah.
But between then and then, we got the Brothers got asked to play at South by Southwest in like 91, I guess.
Okay.
And so I discovered Texas. And because we did a little short tour out there and played South by, and this is back before it was really a big deal. And, I just, oh man, I love the road. So, but then I got freaked out by the riots, and I was getting tired of LA. I was getting worn out. So I moved to Texas. And there, I went there with a guitar and a little bag of clothes. I didn't have shit. And I got there and I moved in with my brother. My brother lived there. And I was playing in a coffee house one night, and this dude's sitting there watching me. There's nobody in the coffee house. There's just this one dude. He's sitting there smiling, and he's watching me play. And I'm playing bass with this girl, this singer-songwriter. And he comes up to me after, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got this gig, and I'd like for you to audition." I'm like, "Sure," and he gives me his card and a CD to learn some songs. And I go, "This is great." So I go to the audition, and it ends up it's this band called Tablet, and they had just signed with Mercury Records, and they'd had a deal. And so I go, and there's like 50 guys auditioning. It's a pretty big gig, I've always been just like a bedroom club guy, and
Can I ask you real quick? I don't mean to interrupt you.
yeah.
For those of you that are watching this and are chatting, this is really interesting because this kind of thing, most people don't understand the process of auditioning for bands, right? So, Mike, you were talking about having been in Hollywood, and you were playing in these bands and playing in clubs, and got used to that kind of environment, right? So you
Sure.
walk in, and Hollywood was popping at that time too, right? So it's pretty much a
Absolutely.
guaranteed draw. So you go to Texas. Which city, by the way? Where were you at?
It was in Dallas.
Okay, so you're Dallas, and you're playing singer-songwriter shows in a coffee house.
Yeah.
If you've seen Rockstar, the movie, it's kind of like that progress that Mark Wahlberg goes through. He's playing with the Steel Dragon, Judas Priest sort of parallel, and then
Sure.
at the end he finds out what his real roots were, and he goes and he's playing coffee houses. It's interesting, but the cattle call for this audition is something that is crazy because that's a whole different life, right?
It was a different level because I knew this was going to be big. This was one of the bigger bands in Dallas, and at that time, like, they were signing everybody in Texas. Like, I moved from Hollywood to Dallas, and that's where the deal was. You know what I mean? That thing they're always reaching for, that
Right.
that accomplishment, because that's what everybody wants to play on the big stage,
Yeah.
So I went to the first audition, and I had the material dialed in, and the guy who was the singer and the songwriter of the band, he asked me to sing backups, and I'm not a very good singer, as far as catching, harmonies and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what I'm doing really. I just kind of gang vocal it. And he's like, "Well, you're great, but we really need a singer, somebody who can sing, And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine, just whatever." I go home, and then they call me back the next day. The manager did, the band's manager, and it is a cattle call. There's lots of guys auditioning for this, and they go, the guys want you to come back. They liked you, and I come back second time, run through the set, everything's killer. All right, man, we'll talk to you. Same thing, like I went back 4 times, I think.
Wow.
And they said, "Okay, well, we're down to 5 guys, and you're one of the 5 guys." And I go, "That's great. What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "Well, we're doing 5 gigs in Dallas at 5 different clubs, 5 nights in a row."
Wow.
So I go to the first night, and I haven't seen any of these other bass players. So I go to the first night, and I'm watching bass player play, and he can sing, and man, he's good. I mean, he's super good. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I'm screwed, man. Like, came all this way, and I've been at this thing all my life pretty much, and I wanted to do this. The band's great. They write great songs, and they're really going places. And so I get drunk, and I just met my wife. We just started hanging out, and and I go home, and I just start punching walls, and I'm drunk, and I'm an idiot, and I'm sad, feeling sorry for myself, and crying and shit. And
this is before you haven't even been told that you didn't. This is expecting that you didn't have the gig.
I just saw this guy. I just saw this one guy. I'm like, he's so good. I'm a piece of crap, compared to this dude. And so, the other guys play. Now, the last gig is my audition, is my live audition.
Okay.
And but it's not in like one of the bigger clubs. Like, all these gigs were in clubs, but this gig is an in-store at a record store.
Oh.
And I'm like, this kind of sucks, but all I got to do is plug in. There's no sound check. We just go in. So I went in, and I just said, well, I got nothing to lose. So I just threw it all out there. And then played the show, and the show went really good. There was a bunch of kids in the record store, and they were loving it. And so they were like, well, you'll hear from us. We got to talk about this. And so I'm like, well, I went up to the manager after the in-store, and he's like, he'd worked with a lot of, like Lou Reed, and he'd been doing this a long time. And I go, I'm screwed. I know I screwed this up. I can't sing. And this other guy, he was an English guy, and he's like, Michael, just don't worry about it. you've got a lot going on for you, got a lot going for you or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go home and I wait a couple days and they call me up and they go, hey man, we'd come down to the rehearsal studio. We had our own rehearsal place. And I came down and they're like, look, man, we want to offer you the job. Playing. He goes, like, the first year you'll be like kind of like a sideman. For local shows, you get paid so much, and on the road you'll get a per diem and get paid so much. And and I'm like, oh, that's great, man. And
that's it.
I'm like, well, I'm like, how did I get the gig? And he goes, dude, the singer's like, dude, you everybody that I did, the 5 guys, out of the 5 guys, everybody tried to gouge and they wanted everything. They wanted this much money. They wanted this much new gear. They wanted all this stuff. And he goes, you just said all you wanted was to get in the van and go play. And I'm like, yeah, that's all I do want. I don't give a crap about all that, And he goes, yeah, he's like, that's why you got the gig. He goes, the drummer can sing the backups,
Wow.
And so it's because I didn't want anything else other than to play. I didn't have any expectations of, and they ended up, Mercury gave us a big check to go buy backline. So I got to buy a bunch of crap anyway, which,
yeah.
So that was kind of my first taste. And then 6 months later, we're doing shows with Oasis, like in their heyday, and
wow,
every one-hit wonder you can think of in the mid '90s. This was '96, 95, '96, and so that's kind of like I got my big taste of what this is. And once I started playing those kind of shows, and I mean, we were still doing a bunch of club shows and struggling it. We were always the opening act, but once I got a taste of what that was really like, I you can't stop. You're hooked. It's
no
like
going
a drug,
back, man.
Yeah, you keep chasing it, and I'm a lifer, no matter what, I'm in it until I drop dead,
It's so true, man. Anybody that knows you knows that it is in your blood, man. If you're one of those guys, because a million musicians that are like, man, you know what? Screw this shit, man. I'm done. This is like, I'm tired of chasing it. I'm tired of gear. I'm tired of, dealing with, like promoters and all that kind of stuff. And then you look at them and you think, man, it just wasn't in you then, right? I mean,
you still got to care about all the trappings. You just care about being a good musician and a good friend and a good, just you're an entertainer. You're there. You love it. You either love it or you don't. I mean, I'm not quitting. No matter. I'm not. I'm gonna hang it up and go get it. I mean, whatever. Right. What else am I gonna do? I can't go back to. I'm 57 years old, man. What am I going to do?
You're unemployable, man. That's some of Elena was asking if you've ever played Dallas Alley. She said it was a blast back in the day. Was that one of the
Dallas Alley? What year was that? We played Trees. We used to headline Trees all the time.
Okay.
And Urban Art Bar, that whole little area in not Lower Greenville.
Denton.
Club Dada,
okay.
Those places.
Yeah.
But
man, that House of Blues there is my favorite in U.S. That House of Blues in Dallas.
I don't even think there was a House of Blues there when we were around. Were you playing there with Bill?
Yeah, both Animotion and Flock of Seagulls. But
on.
They're I don't know about you, man, but one of my favorite memories of certain venues are the green rooms, right? So. If there's a real sketchy one, you'll never forget it. And if there's a really amazing one, it's always stuck in your mind. And I have more memories about their backstage green room area than I do about the club. The entire wall, so the green room's above the stage there, the entire wall, like 30 feet, is all glass, looking down at the stage and at the crowd. And
at the House of Blues? At the
House of Blues, yeah. It's so wicked, man. But, and Scott says new shoes as well. I didn't play new shoes at that House of Blues, though, Scott. So, but do you feel like when you were in Texas, did you feel like that felt like home to you?
Not really. I mean, it was just, back then, I was pretty much a gypsy kind of dude. Nowhere really felt like home, I was...
Really?
I just met my wife, and I was kind of living on people's couches and my brother's couch and my wife's couch, and then I had while Tablet, before the band started, I was working at this place called Poor David's Pub in Lower Greenville, and I started seeing singer-songwriters. That's where I didn't leave rock, but I saw Steve Earle and Lyle Lovett and the Dixie Chicks before they were famous, and
Wow.
and song Robert Earl Keen, Townes Van Zandt, songwriters of that caliber. So I knew there was a whole other thing as far as songwriters, and until then I was still just a bass player. But that's kind of when I started picking up acoustic guitar. So I learned a lot in Dallas, but I never felt home until I got up here, till to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm dying. I love this place.
Yeah, I think you probably kind of make every place feel like home, outwardly. The way that you've dealt with, clubs and booking and also playing shows, everybody kind of feels like your family that way.
Sure.
But, the people that I know, like the friends of mine that are from Texas, there's just something about Texans, right? That, that you can tell that's where home is for them. And I can picture you being this smoky voiced, like dark room Texan, old school Texan, but
right.
but and that's not to disparage them or say that they're any different. It's just there's something about Texas, man. There are places there that I love, and there's one city in particular that's my least favorite in the country. I don't like Houston. Don't like Houston.
Man. Yeah. Well, Houston's a pretty gnarly city.
Yeah.
Played Houston many times. Like when we toured Texas. Texas is like its own country.
Right.
I mean, you can tour there your whole life and be a legend in Texas, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Austin.
God, when you were there. Oh yeah. She said she could see you in Austin.
I know. I saw it.
I love Austin too, man. But Podunk was killing back in Dallas then too, right? So when you were there, I was a huge fan of that band. Did you check them out at all?
Podunk, I'm not familiar.
Okay, all right. Well, check them out, man. Look them up on YouTube or whatever.
Like the big bands then at that time were Reverend Horton Heat for sure was coming up, and
King's X,
Tripping Daisies. King's X came and saw my band in Houston. I looked down. It was a place called the Blue Iguana, and I looked down and there's Doug and Jerry.
Nice, man.
And they just came. They'd heard about us and they came to see us, and I was just in awe. Like I rarely get starstruck or tripping over my tongue, but Gretchen Goes to Nebraska blew my mind. Changed my life.
Yeah.
Like it was amazing. Amazing album. Everything they do is amazing.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's to this day, and Doug, they're all getting up there. They're, they kind of hit. Butthole Surfers too.
Yeah.
Says.
Yeah, but from that time,
Gabby
sure,
Haynes, man. Yeah, I was just thinking. You mentioned, that they were iconic, and that kind of gave you this starstruck vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think about the first guys. You mentioned when you were really young and you were playing drums that Peter Criss was the guy that you wanted to be. How about when you saw these singer-songwriters, and even though you were playing bass and you said you learned a lot about playing guitar, tell me the guy that you really thought, I love that songwriting, man. I love the way this guy sings or the message he communicates. Or who was that first guy that kind of struck you?
As a kid or later on?
No, later on. Like when you're in Texas and you see the singer-songwriter shows and you think, you know what? That's my thing. Oh, man,
it was definitely Steve Earle.
I see that.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. And Townes was one of those guys. Townes Van Zandt, maybe the greatest songwriter of all time. And, it's just, they're unbelievable. But it's probably Steve Earle.
Okay.
As far as songwriting goes. As far as band stuff goes, I never thought about that too much. I was too busy doing my own thing. But as far as the quality of songs, that's the bar. That's where I try to be. Townes Van Zandt and Steve Earle, Guy Clark was an amazing guys. I mean, these words that would come out of their mouths would just make you cry. They were just beautiful. What they did. So, and it's cool because you can be an old man and do that. I don't have to jump around or wear makeup and none of that shit.
But you still could. It's okay.
I don't think I could, man.
Well, you can wear the makeup, but man, you've got a lot of fans here already, which is really cool. I am the biggest Mike D fan.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to hear you play some music. So I was going to ask you, like, you want to? Do you have an idea of what you might play for us?
Yeah. I've written some during this pandemic. I've written a few songs. Surprisingly, before the pandemic, I used to write a bunch of political stuff, and socially conscious kind of things. And during the pandemic and during this administration, I've really kind of just wanted to get away from it as far as I could. So, I mean, I'm sure there's still political overtones kind of in these things I've been writing, but I don't know, man. I'm getting old, and I'm seeing where life's going, and it's a very short journey, we're on, and it's gonna be over with soon enough, So I'm trying to just enjoy my life and just be a decent human being, be a friend of man, and be good. I mean, it's as simple as that, and
It should be, right?
it should be. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
agree with you, buddy.
I don't ever want to. I used to think things that were important, and now they're not important, and things that didn't mean much then, now they mean everything. So
This
I, I,
wisdom.
I guess it kind of comes out in the songs now. Yeah.
You've already got me excited, man.
Oh, all right.
You feel like playing something?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to play.
I'm gonna take myself off camera, and I want to enjoy, man. Folks, sit back, put your headphones on, and check out Mike D.
Thanks. Thank you. And also, before I do this, I just want to say that Five Star Guitars, man. Joff's my boy. I love him. I'm going down to pick up a Telecaster here with some of this unemployment money pretty soon. Probably not. I probably should think about eating first, but man, guitars. I love them. Anyway, I'm here in Portland. I'm at my daughter's house because she's got better internet, and I'm right here by the PG&E Park, and it's really noisy out here. So people are out here fighting, and trains are going, and all that stuff. So it's Portland for sure. This is called Butterflies and Spiders. Bobby White, you hate them spiders. You can't kill them all, like Metallica said. They have been here longer than God. Man, it was God put those nightmares in your head. Why do you fear the pretty little girls? They want to go to the dance just like you, and their palms sweat, and they hate the butterflies. Oh, we hate them butterflies. All seventh graders do. And butterflies and spiders, from the cradle to the grave, like junior high school dances, no one is ever saved. Why do you fear the wrath of God? Why do you fear what you cannot see? I promise you there'll be no wrath of God. At least that's what he told me. And butterflies and spiders, from the cradle to the grave, like thunderbolts from heaven, no one is ever saved. You know, man, we're nothing. We're just mortals. So while we're here on earth, we best go ahead and dance. And old fears die hard. But as I live, in paradise I'll make my stand. And butterflies and spiders, from the cradle to the grave, make your home in paradise, 'cause no one is ever saved. Butterflies and spiders, from the cradle to the grave, like junior high school dances. No one is ever saved.
Man, buddy. Wow.
Cool.
So nice.
Sound all right?
Oh my God, man. You sound beautiful.
Thanks, bro.
It really, really makes me miss seeing you play live,
Oh, man.
This is a curse and a blessing now, because it was something really special, especially at Dante's, man. That was home for, to come watch you. That just felt like, that was home. People that are here chatting that haven't been to Portland, Dante's is this really special club. It's a nightclub. I think it holds like 400 maybe, right?
So it holds 500.
Does it? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just the right size to feel intimate and cool. It's got mood and vibe, and when you would play there, it was almost like you're playing your living room. Felt like a little house concert for Mike D.
Yeah.
You had talked earlier about before things kind of went off the rails with the pandemic that you were still trying to do like a 50-person cap. Where are things at right now? I mean, are clubs? We're kind of shut down right now, right?
Yeah, everything's at right now. I think honestly at the Star Theater,
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
do an outside thing every day, and I know I got asked to play there, but I'm kind of waiting till the numbers come down.
Yeah.
Um, People getting sick, and I have diabetes, and I'm getting up there in my age, so I just I don't want to take too many chances. I don't really,
Smart.
I've kind of felt weird even coming over to my daughter's house to do this, but yeah, it's a little too scary still for me. I don't want
Yeah,
to go out
I
like
get it.
that. I mean, some people think this is an illusion or it's not happening, but it's happening, man.
Yeah,
I know too
man.
many people in healthcare that are seeing this thing happen every day and the horror that comes with it. So I'm kind of taking it easy. But at the Star, they're doing stuff outside. They have a little patio there, and so that's good. But when it comes back, it's going to come back strong. And
Yeah.
now with somebody actually working on the problem on a federal level,
Amen.
and I think things will get moving pretty quick.
You know what,
Vaccines,
man? Yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of reasons to sort of celebrate that right now. But so Claudia, I mentioned she's here. She's over in Germany. We talk about this a lot. She owns a salon. And the government, continues. They shut it down. They reopen it a little bit. She's tried to find ways to navigate it as a business owner. And that's a huge thing to think about, right? I mean, there's one thing to
It's
be
awful.
responsible for patrons, right? So as musicians, we want to go out and play these shows because it's what is in our blood and in our soul. But at the same
Sure.
time, man, I mean, you'd never forgive yourself if you felt somehow accountable for somebody getting sick, right? So you
Yeah.
want people to be safe, and it's got to be safe for you too. And I tried to get out of the idea about speculating when it's all going to come back. I got a ton of shows booked that I'm hopeful, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Oh, so they're already on the books though. So they're thinking maybe the summer or the booking agents are.
Yeah, there were shows that were
you
supposed
work
to play
with?
last summer, and then they pushed
Okay.
them to this summer.
Rescheduled, right?
Same date, same places, but
Right.
there are shows that are in California in May
Uh-huh.
down at Catalina, and I
Right.
have a hard time believing it's going to happen. So what I do is, I haven't bought plane tickets down to the show yet, and I'm just waiting it out. But um, there's a beauty in what we've got technologically, right? That we can do something
Sure.
like this.
This thing, absolutely. Yep.
God, you've got a great show on Facebook that you've been doing where you've got a virtual tip jar,
Yeah.
and I probably should have gotten your Venmo or PayPal information to plug in here beforehand. But
Well, that's
guys, if you're
okay.
watching this, find Michael Dean Damron on Facebook and follow him on his page because he does these live shows quite a bit, and it's
Yeah.
really
I
nice
do
to be
every Sunday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
okay.
It keeps me. It's my way to show gratitude. Every week, that's kind of church for me. Like I get to say thank you to friends and family and people that pop in, and it's always a good time, And I just talk shit, whatever I'm thinking, and play for an hour. It's just an
Yeah.
hour, and And I also been making a living like that from since the money, not the money, but work stopped.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and I kind of feel like it's a good thing folks show up, come on a lot, and it helps them and it helps me. And I don't know, I just feel really good about it. People are like, oh, it's not a real show. Like some people like tried it, people I know, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's not really a gig. And it's like, well, it's a gig to me because I'm interacting with people. I can see people popping up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
No,
and we get to say hi and check in and just show gratitude, and it's just great to be alive. So
that perspective is awesome, man. One thing that I really, really admire about you, and people that know you feel the same way, you're vulnerable, man. I mean, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You openly talk about challenges and struggles, and at the same time, man, um, I think you stand your ground. It seems like you really establish your boundary, and it's for me, man. I aspire to have those qualities, right? Because it's easy for me to recognize my faults and admit all those kind of things, but
yeah,
when I'm struggling, man, it's hard to communicate that because I don't want people to hear me as like this whiner. But you do a great job about
right.
speaking about what's right, what's decent, not what's right, actually what's decent, right? And like,
Decency. There's. I read a book a long time ago. It was one of the books that kind of shaped my worldview, and it was called Man's Search for Meaning. It was by a psychiatrist who survived a concentration camp, and in the final analysis, what he learned was there's only two kinds of people in this world, and that's decent and indecent. And it really gets that simple. And I've always, being vulnerable just came from growing up in a alcoholic family and a lot of violence.
yeah,
And so I'm not afraid to be me. Sometimes it won't be the best me. It'll be stupid, but it's always real. It's always. I don't like to hold things back, or if I'm feeling something, I gotta let it out.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but I understand why some people don't. You have some people keep a facade of of toughness or
yeah,
but we're all just the same. We're all just scared little kids, really. Just
yeah.
trying to get through life and figure it out the best we can. You know.
Yeah, but you see that in the pandemic for sure, right? I mean, like everybody at every level is kind of, since we're all in the same boat, right? I mean, Claudia there in Germany, and our friends in Australia, and you, and I mean, we all have tremendous challenges, right, that have come about from the pandemic. And then if you can see some of the silver linings in it, like, uh, I think for me, slowing down, and you mentioned having, seeing now as you're a little older, how you can see that the things that didn't matter so much are really important now, and vice versa. I'm grateful for so much, man, that has happened, and I know that's hard to say. There are a lot of people that have lost their lives and and their livelihood. It's tough, as you know, man, not to be on stage playing the thing, playing places, but
Sure.
having an opportunity for you to do these things where you can engage with people and still be on their radar, they're on your radar, and you talk about decency and indecency. If you break it down to just that globally, right? There
Sure.
are way more decent people in the world than there are indecent, I believe. When I talk to my oldest son, he's 21, man, and he's cynical about a lot of people in the world. He's like, there are a lot more snakes out there. And I said, no, you know what, man? It's because that's what you see in the news. That's who those are the people
Yeah.
you encounter, right?
We get force fed this stuff. I mean, I believe we are where we are from 30 years of celebrity worship
Right,
and reality TV
right.
and you know people trying to sell you stuff. Like it just went south somewhere. Like I don't know, we lost our way a little bit, but yeah, this is showing everybody what's real, what's important. To me, what's important is my wife and my dogs and my daughter. My family.
Yeah,
And songs and music is even more important now than it ever has been. My ego got stripped away.
yeah,
Before, sometimes I'm gonna go book a tour because we got to hear this record, and I got to sell some records, and me, look at me, look at me. And now it's just, I just want to do good work.
yeah.
That's the most important thing, is just doing good work, no matter if anybody hears it or not. Before it was, trying to, like I said, after the whole being signed to a major label and all that kind of shit, I got to get to the next place. I got to get to the next place. And then, hey, Amy, what's up, Suge? It's good to see
Nice.
you.
Oh yeah, you're seeing these. That's good.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Uh,
you brought that up about the touring thing. Uh, You know what's, and I said that pretty much any place you go, you kind of sort of build a family. You feel like,
You have to. That's the way you do it.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, man. You know where I know that you do it really well, that I felt the same vibe over with Cleveland was over in the Netherlands, so doing
Oh,
those shows.
dude, I
Yeah.
love it. I
I,
love it.
God, let's talk about that for a sec, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
watched some shows,
Hey, John.
some shows of yours there, on YouTube,
Uh huh.
and I know for me, man, the experiences we had playing over there, people just were so receptive to real music, right?
Yeah.
Authenticity, man,
Yeah.
and they it was like they just saw the Beatles over and over again, So,
Right.
like, what's do you have a favorite place that you've played over in
Well,
Western Europe?
it was kind of a whirlwind. We were there for about a month, 3 weeks, a month, and we played in Belgium and Holland, and so we kept it in those two. And there's so many little towns with little bars, little pubs, and the people just come out. They just, and if you give them something, man, they just soak it in, and they appreciate. I think. I don't know. There was just so many little bars that we went into. Every night was a different little bar, and you're treated like a king. I mean, I always heard those stories. You get fed and all this stuff, but you truly are, man. People truly engage, and I'd go out, and I couldn't believe people were just throwing money. Like, I'd go, they'd give you a bunch of money just to play.
Yeah,
And like, to me, being like a troubadour money's like $100. If you make
right.
$100, that's a great night. But the clubs would give you $300, $500, and
Tip you.
and then I'd throw my baseball hat out in the crowd, and there'd be in this little bar there'd be 150 people just packed. And I go, hey man, y'all fill that up, and they just. I was just joking, and then it started to be a thing, and they just fill it up, and then you get done, and they buy all your T-shirts, and
Yeah, man. That's
so.
Really, man, getting out there and doing that with people around the world, because your perspective changes completely when you cross the borders.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's not that I don't love doing it here,
yeah,
because I love going in a room with 5 people who aren't listening. It doesn't matter. I'm playing for me. If you're there and you dig it, and that's a beautiful thing, man. I want to, but I'm there to exercise demons and do my thing, and you know, some shows are big, some shows are little. There's no little shows, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I love it.
They're all important.
Yeah,
You
man.
should learn something from everything you do. Um, hey Scott, Thin Lizzy, and Phil Lynott.
Oh, there we
Like,
go. I was gonna say
yeah,
before we get to Scott's question, I was
yeah.
gonna ask if
Or
you.
I mean, there's so many. Or Joey Ramone and
Oh
the
yeah,
Ramones, you
you.
know, like that kind of thing. Yeah, that's
Uh,
my favorite.
Claudia says, "I'll always believe that everything will be normal again, and that you can be on stage again. Good vibes.
Sure,
I appreciate that." I was
sure.
gonna ask you, Mike D. Do you want to exercise some more demons? You want to play another tune?
Yeah, man, absolutely,
God.
absolutely. I would love to.
So
Um,
I'm keeping the link up here, the Michael Dean Damron one.bandcamp.com.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Got stuff there. A lot of that stuff was recorded on GarageBand. I do have a couple records up there. One was produced by Fernando here
Yeah.
in Portland. He's the man, and Dan Eccles did the other one.
Oh,
Guitar player of great repute.
yeah, man. Are you going to play another one that you wrote during the pandemic now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I just here's a song I wrote for my wife. When she met me, I was a mess. I was drinking a lot and just same old sad story of a old drunk idiot. Playing guitar and just being a drunk. And she literally saved my life. If it wasn't for my wife, and we've been together since '95.
Wow.
If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be living in a box. I probably wouldn't be alive. I mean that sincerely, not
I
to
believe
over
you.
dramatize it too much.
Yeah, she's a true angel in real terms,
Oh,
man.
amen.
Yeah.
I wake up every morning, and I went years with just, again, that selfish ego, and I just thinking about myself all the time, and that that's changed a long time ago. But there ain't nothing. The most important thing you're ever going to do in your life is pick who you're going to spend the rest of it with. If you mess up that thing, you're going to everything goes bad from there.
Yeah.
And I've been married a couple times, so
I messed up
uh,
that thing too.
I finally did it right, and I love my wife very much. So I wrote this song for her.
Excellent. All right. Here's Mike D.
Now she rode in on a unicorn. Man, that horn was sharp. Poke me in my chest. Damn, there goes my heart. Damn, there goes my heart. And blood dripped down on my belly. I stumbled off towards the light. She was God's gift to me. I'd waited for all my life. I'd waited for all my life. And love comes out of nowhere, just when you least expect. She was the wild kingdom, and my whole life was a mess. Now she was breathtaking kindness, and eyes all whiskey and guitars. Now she had charm to melt the devil, and I was tearing up them bars. Yeah. I was tearing up them bars. She was a picture of perfection, a glory to behold. She was a grace and a masterpiece. I had a stain upon my soul. I had a stain upon my soul. And love comes out of nowhere, just when you least expect. She was the wild kingdom, when my whole life was a mess. Now I rode in on my dinosaur. I hung tight to my fear. I kept a graveyard of broken lovers and a bucket for their tears. I kept a bucket for their tears. But my baby, she shined just like a movie star, just like Ally McGraw. And her kiss took my breath away, just like Joe Frazier punched my jaw. Just like Joe Frazier hit me in the jaw. Just like Smoking Joe knocked me out. And love comes out of nowhere, just when you least expect. She was the wild kingdom, and my whole life was a mess. And love, it can come out of nowhere, just when you least expect. She was the wild kingdom, and my whole life was a mess. My whole life was a mess. My whole life was a mess, yeah.
Well, we can definitely thank Angel for showing up in your life and making sure your life is not a mess anymore.
Oh, buddy,
Okay?
it's all better. It's all better now.
You know, man, it certainly is better. You know, my life is better having Angel Damron in the world, man. You know, because the both of you guys are, you know, for me, as you mentioned, you know, if you screw that stuff up, you know, then the world goes bad. Yeah, I made some of those mistakes too, man, and I recognize as I get older that my values change. You know, the things that I valued so much before, you took for
Hell
granted,
yeah.
you know, and you know, it's certainly fodder for you know, it's material for songwriting, man. You know, because everybody kind of goes through it some points in their life, but
Sure.
to be able to articulate it with a guitar and your voice, you know, that's a really special thing. And you know, some of the folks here haven't heard you before, so they're admiring your sound, comparing it a little bit. I saw Daniel Lenoir. Somebody said you're.
I love that dude.
Yeah,
That's killer.
man,
Yeah.
amazing. You know,
Yeah.
I think what might surprise some of the people though that do know you, one thing I love to do on the show, and some of you might already know this, but if you've seen some of the past shows, you know, I love to ask people about their guilty pleasures.
Okay.
What's something that somebody might be surprised about Mike D that would blow them away?
Um, Damn, I don't know about surprised.
This is where vulnerability comes in, man. You can talk about Vanilla Ice or whatever you want.
Oh no, man, Vanilla Ice is not a guilty pleasure. I love here maybe this. I mean, and this is no big deal. This is I love show tunes, man. I love Broadway, stuff like that. Um, I think I was in this in high school. I was in this Fame type school, and we did Grease, and I played in the pit band, and we did Grease and Pippin, just Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
That's not really very interesting, but
You know
I
what?
love show.
Let me ask you: is it the energy that those show tunes bring? I mean, there's a ton of emotion in show tunes.
Oh, absolutely. Like, well, if you listen to Meatloaf's first album, that's just one big show tune, man.
You're right. Yeah.
That passion, there's a great story going on, and most kind of stuff I love. Like my favorite thing is probably Jesus Christ Superstar, Weber, and Rice, and that's amazing. I love ABBA too. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's great. I didn't know that was Lemmy's favorite though. That's great, man.
Exactly. And the Bee Gees. Oh my God, did you see the documentary? Like,
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you gotta watch it, man. Andy Gibb. I love. As a kid, these people were amazing to me. I was all screwed up because back when I was a kid. Yeah. In the 70s, everything's been subcategorized to death. Like in the day, you had rock and you had disco. Right. You had I listened to the Ramones and I listened to Parliament. I listened to Casey and the Sunshine Band and I listened to Thin Lizzy, and like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like there was no real. They lumped in the Dead Boys and the Sex Pistols right next to AC/DC.
Right.
So I think subcategorizing everything, the music industry kind of, destroyed itself in that regard. Like everything's just so death metal, super death metal, and on and on and on. Different kinds of disco, different kinds of dance, different kinds of this, different kinds of that. When it's all really too good, it's either good or it's not good. And that's
decent or indecent, right?
Yeah, decent or indecent. Same comes back around, to that.
Man,
for sure.
I'm glad that you brought some of that up, man. Thinking about the subcategorization of music, you have to wonder, was that the marketing guys at the record company saying, we could make more money if we establish tribes, right? Like, and I hate to be so cynical, man, but that is how the business is, right? That some guys are up there that could care less about, the authenticity of the music or the sort of recognition of sort of connection that people might have with a certain band. They just want to be able to sell records, But
right. Well, that's what I hated when when you put a show together and every band's got to sound alike. If you got one kind of pop punk thing, everything's got to be pop punk. Like when I first moved to Portland, I met Trace Shannon, and he did shows at Barbati's. He was the booking agent, and he would put a singer-songwriter on with a death metal band, on with a country band, so you get this whole hodgepodge of different things going on. It's like a Lollapalooza type thing every night,
right.
And that's the kind of thing I love to do. I'll play with the death metal band any day,
and hold your own, man.
Oh, I've done it. I've done it many, many times, it's just how you relate to people, and I don't know, man. Hey, what's up, Kevin? How you doing, bro? Kevin Kirk, that's my buddy from Salt Lake.
Yeah, man. Yeah, owner of Heavy Metal Shop, man. Hey,
yeah.
So Kevin Kirk, man.
Shout out to Kevin.
My nickname has been Kevy Metal for a long time, so I feel like I need to pop into your shop next time and
absolutely
hang out at the Kevy Metal Shop. Man, one band that you turned me on to that you booked there at Dante's that blew my mind was from Idaho, Two Cow Garage. Right?
No, they're from Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Oh, Idaho.
Yeah.
Ohio. You would think I would know, right? But I love that band, man.
Yeah, they might be maybe the best band in America for right now. And a lot of people know about them, but they've kind of been doing their solo thing since the pandemic, and touring stopped. Like Micah, the singer and guitar player, he was on tour in Europe with Frank Turner, who's a very prolific, big songwriter over there. Like he packs it out. Like you're playing the Crystal Ballroom size venues every night. It's packed. And Micah was there when the thing hit. The pandemic hit, and so they had to cancel the tour maybe 3/4 of the way through. Which it sucked for a lot of people because, people had my daughter, for example, she was working on the Project Runway kind of stuff. She puts on fashion shows, and she was getting to that next place with it. Where she was very popular in the fashion scene and in magazines, and she went and auditioned for Project Runway as a designer, and got the call back, and all that kind of stuff. So the pandemic shut that all down. My wife is a writer. She writes novels, and that hasn't shut her down at all. She keeps, in fact, it got better. Like everybody's reading a lot of books, so she sells a lot of books. But like artists, man, people that were going places had a trajectory to really make a good living, or having now we're having to not now, but early on begging for toilet paper and shit.
Right.
So.
Well, when things come back, does it look like Project Runway will be back? You think Heidi Klum will be calling your daughter saying, "Hey, we want you back on the show"?
I mean, my daughter's gonna go out and kick ass no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's that or this or that.
She's had good role models for that.
Oh, right on.
you want me to put a word into Heidi? Have her make sure that I had an old Heidi Klum story that was just funny, that ended up on a beach alone while she was doing a Sports Illustrated shoot, back in like 2000. And
you were there. You were just walking by. And
I was hanging out with my wife and her aunt. Yeah, and it was outside the Don Cesar Hotel outside of St. Petersburg, and there was nobody on the beach, and it was a beautiful day, and I saw these guys over with the camera shades, and I was asking this guy renting wave runners, what's going on over there? And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's Heidi Klum doing a Sports Illustrated swimsuit shoot." Really? Nice. So yeah, we went over and talked to her. She was super cool. Photographer was pissed because she took about 10 minutes to talk to us and take pictures.
Whatever.
Yeah, man. Plus she's making whatever $100,000 a year, right, or a day, Yeah. So, but yeah, that's one of the oldest sort of little photos that I had put up in the because this whole show is about getting to know people, whether they're the biggest levels or the smallest, and just real people hanging out with musicians and creative types and having an escape from the crazy stuff, right? So
sure.
That's Portland's Max train, by the way. Or
yeah, it is. It keeps coming. I'm right underneath it right now.
Oh man, Elena's going to jump off in a second. So Elena, you can go to the YouTube channel. If you go to accesskevin.com later on, you can see the rest of this, because I'm going to have Mike play another song in a minute.
Hey, thank you, Elena. Thanks for coming. It's nice to meet you through this screen.
Yeah, you know what, man? If people can meet you somehow, right? And then hopefully she'll be watching you on Sunday. Let's see. Scott Clark is asking what kind of amps you like to use.
Oh yeah, that's a great question, because right now I'm going through. For all my years touring, I always just used a Blues Junior, a Fender, and because we were playing those size venues, and actually, even in bigger venues, you don't need much, So a Blues Junior was my baby. It's easy to carry, and easy to get a good sound out of. Right now, I'm thinking about getting a Marshall, same thing, a 20-watt Marshall, something like that, like this OR, whatever the newer 20-watt Marshalls are. But I used the Blues Junior for years, and I still do. I haven't, not that I'm doing out live, but it's a lot of acoustic stuff,
Yeah. Well, what you've got sounds great right now, man. It's so nice to hear this.
Oh yeah, this is a custom. I got this buddy. I was playing a freaking Mexican restaurant in Denver, a burrito bar, and
a burrito bar.
This guy was watching me, and he's watching. There's about 20 people engaged and watching, and everybody's eating, whatever. And the guy comes up after the thing, and he goes, "Hey man, my name's Chris. Hey, nice to meet you." And he goes, "I want to build you a guitar." I go, "Okay, but I got a guitar. Like, I don't need a guitar." And he goes, "No, you want one of my guitars." And he was a luthier, and he's like, "Oh, I'm like, cool, man." And so he just built it for me for nothing, like for free, And thanks, Claudia. You're welcome, Claudia. I appreciate you. Thank you. And so he built me this thing, and he goes, "What kind of guitar do you want?" I go, "Well," he goes, "I've never had a jumbo." I go, "Can you make a jumbo?" And he's like, "Well, I've never made one." I was like, "Yeah, go for it." And he goes, "What do you want on the neck?" And I'm like, "Oh, can you put my name on the neck?" He goes, "That's cool." And he's like, "No, dude, I can't put your name on the neck." So I just said, "Well, don't put nothing on it then. Just leave it." And so anyway, this is what I'm dying with. This thing's going to the grave.
That's beautiful, man. Look at that. And
it sounds real good. And so I felt blessed to come into my life. There's nothing else like it on the earth, So
yeah. Well, you know what, man? I mean, you put that out there. That's the thing. People that get to meet you, you can feel the warmth that your spirit brings, and I'm excited to share this with people that may not have heard you, man. You know, it's
Thank you.
killer. Um, so let's do this, folks. If you're watching this, there's a link there for Mike's Bandcamp, and
Claudia.
um, the if you go to Facebook and find Michael Dean Damron, follow him for sure because he has his Sunday show every weekend, and you can support
Pretty much
him.
every weekend. I didn't play this last Sunday. I had a little, sometimes I'll have panic attacks. Like I do like Tony Soprano, like I'll just pass out, you know? And for some reason, I was having one of those. It's, you know, a lot of stress, a lot of, you know,
I get it.
what we're all going through. And then I just kind of couldn't do it. I was just,
What's there stress going on right now?
Kind of, yeah, just worried about health and
Yeah.
and world in at large, and my mortality. You know, I'm getting at that age where you really start thinking about those things, and you know how bad I treated my body for many years, and now like I'm not a health nut. You know, I still go eat crappy food, but I work out a lot, and I work out all the time. Like
Yeah.
for an old man, I'm pretty strong, but yeah, I'm just you know just worried. You know that I always thought getting older would be easy. You know, I thought it would be like I'll be some shaman or some shit, and I'll be so smart and I'll know. You know,
Your wisdom comes out in the music, man.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You want to play another song?
Yeah, I would love it, man. What do you feel like
Okay,
playing?
let's see. Well, I don't know. What should I play here? Kind of pandemic sad song, a happy song.
No, yeah, you know what? Let's end on a happy tune, man, because you know what? Today is a huge day for America.
Okay, beautiful.
And the rest of the world, man. It's our connection, right? So
absolutely, man. There's a lot of people breathing a nice sigh of relief.
Yeah,
you know, I know there's a lot of angry people too, but you know, we got to get through this pandemic, and that's important, and I think we're going to do it now. I hopefully, at least we're going to try. Here's a song I wrote, not just for my daughter, but she was in my mind when I wrote it, and but for little girls in general, I think girls need to take their place at the head of the table and run the show.
Yeah.
For you know, for you know, I have a lot of faith in just about being a girl and not giving up on your dreams, and not that I know about being a girl, you know, but and what you know, the kind of shit they have to go through.
Yeah.
But you know, just keep kicking ass, man.
Yeah, I love that.
Just keep kicking ass. And I wrote this for my daughter because I knew she could, you know, be anything. I told her that from the time she was a little girl, that you know, whatever you want to do, and so she wanted to be an artist. You know, oh, I love Kevin Kenny, man. I know Kevin. We were on a label together one time. Yeah.
Man, you know, I'm thinking. You have so many amazing stories, and we scratched the surface, man. Would you be up for coming back on another time?
Whatever you need, brother. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing going on.
Yeah, well, you know what? Even when you do, man, I would love to, you know, just like share some of the other experiences that have happened between Texas and now, and your Portland return. So.
Oh yeah, I got tons of shit. A lot of it's some dark, shitty crap, and you know, a lot of it's good. But I love talking. So
yeah,
if anybody wants to hear me talk, you know.
It's great to see you here, man. So
Mike's
going to play a celebration song for us, and this is for little girls around the world, right? So
little girls around the world, absolutely. She was a hotshot pilot out of Pensacola, made her captain's bars at 24. Studied her math and aerodynamics, that's how she made her captain's bars. She loved the blue sky and the speed and the power. First in her class, a feared Top Gun. Officer's mess every day was the same thing. Coffee, bacon, and a cinnamon bun. Coffee and bacon and a cinnamon bun. Yep. Well, she played in the clouds and played in the chemtrails, played with her dolls and little toy guns. Gonna be like Snoopy, her hero, gonna shoot down the Red Baron. Gonna shoot down the Red Baron. Gonna shoot down the Red Baron. Where do our dreams go? They can die if left alone. Where do all our little dreams go? Where do our dreams go? Up in the cloud of black smoke. Where do all our little dreams go? Where do they go? Now red alert, time to get to the cockpit, red alert. Yeah, it's time to kick ass. Enemy crossed an invisible line. We need a hero with pigtails, good in math. Need a hero with pigtails, it's good in math. Now little Debbie had perfect vision, and little Debbie had perfect aim. She was skilled with the protractor, had a country to save and lines to tame. Had a country to save and lines to tame. She had a country to save. Where do our dreams go? They can die if left alone. Where do all our little dreams go? Where do our dreams go? Up in the cloud of black smoke. Where do all our little dreams go? Now Debbie's daddy said, you can play with them boys. Debbie's daddy said, go on, play with them boys. And them old boys might be bigger than you, but you can do anything the boys can do. You can do anything that them boys can do. You can do anything that the boys can do. Debbie said, Daddy, I think I want to go learn to fly an airplane. Where do our dreams go? They can die if left alone. Where do all our little dreams go? Where do our dreams go? Lord, I love to watch her grow. Where do all our little dreams go? Where do they go? Where do they go? Where do they go? She was a hotshot pilot at a Pensacola, made her captain's bars at age 24. There we go.
That is exactly what I needed today, man. That is beautiful. Sloan has to be proud about that, man.
I hope so.
God, that's beautiful, man. You are what we need right now, man. I know that people that are watching this around the world are missing great live music, and that satiated that need, man. Scott Clark loves it.
Thanks, Scott. Man, appreciate you, brother.
If you guys are getting into this late, I want you to do two things. Number one, selfishly, I need you to subscribe to this channel because I want you to be able to go back and look at the archives. And you can also get notified for the new upcoming shows. So go to youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin. And then I want you to go over and find Michael Dean Damron on Facebook because he does a Sunday show, 5 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard. But yeah, let's be friends, man. It's I always like meeting new people. I kind of vet my stuff pretty well. Like early on, like I said, I wrote a lot of weird political stuff, and I get a lot of hate stuff early, so I stopped. So I just make sure everybody's cool. So please send a friend request and let's be buddies, man. And then when I get out playing, we'll hang out and talk shit and play some songs and just get to know each other, man. I appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you for having me here.
Mike, man, I appreciate it.
Thanks all y'all.
Thank you, you guys. I'll be back Wednesday with Christopher Brown, Chris Brown Trio here in Portland. He's got a live show on the 30th at out of the Jack London. What is the their official is Jack London Review.
Yeah.
So he's doing his show on the 30th, and we're gonna advertise a little bit of that.
Thanks, Sean.
So if you hadn't already found Mike D, go out and find his music, support him, hit the virtual tip jar on his show on Sunday. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. It's a big, beautiful day in the United States right now. So
it is.
I'm glad to celebrate it with you, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Do me a favor, squeeze Angel for me, all right?
I will, bro. I will.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you, Kevin.
Thanks again.